Hello everyone, this is the video of Legal Studies class 11th, and in this video we will not only check out what are the chapters units that we need to study this year in 11th class. Along with that we would also analyze the syllabus, that what are the things and from where we need to study and what approach we should adopt in order to study or understand these legal concepts. However, before beginning syllabus analysis, let's check out what the CBSE given some instructions before this syllabus. It is an important, that's why I am intended to let you know, and I will really ask you to read this once before starting your legal studies study. So let's check it out. As you can see here, rational. First of all, what is the meaning of rational? It means reason, logic, based on, means the subject that we are going to study, that is what is the logic behind that. At this earlier stage you are given this subject because this is the new concept to introduce legal studies in school. Otherwise it used to be in college or university only. So what is the reason behind that? Okay, so let's check it out. See, the first sentence, it is starting with, that is the with Latin sentence, or that is maxim basically, ignorantia juris neminem excuset. Though its pronunciation is a little difficult, even I don't know exact pronunciation, but don't worry or don't bother about the pronunciation, rather check out its English meaning. What does it mean that ignorance of law is not an excuse? It is simply saying that if you don't know and you committed some crime and you don't know your action, your act is a crime, it doesn't mean that you will be excused, not at all. Even then you will be punished as per the law. So ignorance of law is not an excuse. So you cannot be excused based on the knowledge or ignorance. The second thing, I won't be reading every line literally, rather I will highlight the things. The second thing that I would like to let you know, that is, see, here it is saying that traditionally it is taught in universities only. Okay, so now it is introduced in school with some purpose. That is, it may also be helpful in eliminating some of the mistaken notion about law and some of the inveterate prejudices about law, lawyers, and the legal system as such. So, it is talking about the purpose of introducing law in school. So, you will come to know about the concept of law and whatever the something like misconceptions, mistaken notions you have, you may get rid of at so early a stage. Another advantage talking about is that an understanding of law can undoubtedly encourage talented students to pursue a career in law. So if you come to know at such an early stage about one of the career aspects, then you can think upon that, isn't it? So this is the another purpose of introducing the legal studies in school. However, it is also talking about some pitfalls, so you can check it out, not much important to discuss at least in this class. But now come to the objectives. What objective it has? See, it is important to provide a background of the evolution of the Indian legal system. So you need to understand how Indian legal system evolved. Secondly, to focus on the applicability of justice, equity, and good conscience, and more importantly, the development of common law system in India. So, how judiciary basically works and what are the procedure, everything you need to understand. So, this is the purpose of introducing this course. Next one is to provide exposure on various system of law such as common law, civil law, Hindu law, Islamic law. We will study while discussing the chapters what the legal system is. We will study all these legal systems. So you need to know all these things, how it works basically. Similarly, there are so many principles you can study yourself, not much important to discuss in this class. The last one, that is competency is expected after this course. So what are the things you will come to know, you will learn, and the skill that you will add in your existing skill after the study of this course? That is acquire knowledge of legal theory, laws, legal procedure, drafting, interpretation and application of laws. So these are the things that you will definitely going to understand. What are the legal theories, what are the legal procedure, how judiciary works, how the petition is drafted, everything like that. The next one is identify legal issues from facts. Differentiate between ratio decidendi and obiter dicta. So this is another thing that after going through the facts you can find out the issues. You can differentiate between the what are the basically ratio decidendi and obiter dicta. What is the judgment and what are the logical argument talking about ratio decidendi and obiter dicta accordingly. So these are the things that you will come to know. That more importantly, the thing that you will come to know, that is this one: apply the law and draw conclusions by applying analytical reasoning. So the purpose is, once you know the law, you have the understanding of the things, then you can apply the relevant law. So these are the important points that you can read yourself. There is nothing like to discuss, but I wanted to take your attention on this page as well. It is not given something like, okay, it is given, rather it has some purpose, so please go through this. Okay, it will help you because this is the first time you are facing such kind of information or such kind of subject. So before starting, I request you all to go through these 2 pages, okay, and then start your study of this subject because it will help you a lot. Now come to our syllabus. As we know that in many of these subjects CBSE has changed the syllabus, okay, but as we can see here, that is 2021, in this syllabus there is as such no change. We have 5 units. Earlier we had also 5 units, and the chapters that is here, these are also literally same. So for your class there is no change at all. So you need to focus on this. So don't think about the previous year's syllabus or what are the things changed this year. As in 12th it is changed, but for 11th it is not. So now come to this syllabus. We have, as we can see here, 5 units, and the 6th one is the project work that we will discuss later in a separate video. Now we need to focus on these 5 units. So we have the class number of classes for each unit assigned here, or in marks you can see here. Okay, so these are the things that you should know. Now come to syllabus. First one is the unit 1, that is talking about theory and nature of political institutions. Under this unit we would have the chapters, that is concept of state and nation, organs of government, separation of powers, basic features of the Constitution of India. I believe there is not a single term here that you don't study basically in your previous classes in 9th or 11th in the subject civics, social science civics. So this is the talking about the constitution and some political aspects, that is covering the concept of a state and nation. Okay, so these are the things, that is introductory kind of things, so that you can gradually come on the legal topic, basically core legal topic. So I believe you know this, so I won't be discussing this anymore. Now come to second unit, that is nature and sources of laws. See, this is the law that started. The first one was the introductory kind of thing. The second one is the law that we need to focus upon. The first chapter is nature and meaning of law. That is what law is and what is the nature of law. Second one, classification of law. What are the types of law? Basically, there are different types of law and categorized on different basis. As you can see broadly, there is international law and municipal law. International law just applicable all across the world. What are the mandates and what are the provisions that is made by the United Nations, as you know, that basically come under the heading of international law. On the other hand, the municipal law, that is basically domestic law. What are the laws we have in India, that is known as municipal law. Again, the second category or some other category categorize law as substantive law and procedural law. Don't worry, we will discuss all these terms. At this point in time, it is difficult for you to appreciate, so don't worry on that account. But keep in mind that these are the basis of classification of law. Again, we have the Indian Penal Code, Criminal Procedure Code, Indian Evidence Act, Family Law, isn't it? So civil law. So there are so many laws, but we will study that accordingly and step by step so that you can understand easily. But at this point in time, my purpose is to let you know what are the things, what are the syllabus that we need to study. The third one is sources of law. It is talking about from where law is taken, basically how it evolved. What are the sources? As for example, what are the customs that we were practicing? Some of the provisions taken from there. What are the provisions, mandates? Those were mentioned in our scriptures, so taken from there. What are the provisions that we have to follow as per our religious guidelines? So that is another source. So we have the source like customs, like religious actions or guidelines, and the more importantly we have the source that is legislation. As you know, parliament makes law, so that those are the sources of law. Law reform is talking about the amendment. You must have studied regarding the amendment in your 10th or ninth class in social studies civics. So it is same thing. Law reform, what are the things? But amendment you studied regarding the constitution, but this is talking about only the law reform, है ना? So that is something like the law, existing law that is reformed, and even the new law is also made. So these are the things that we will study under the chapter law reform. Third unit is historical evolution of Indian legal system. Basically talking about the historical aspects, how legal system evolved. So in the ancient time framework, administration of justice in British India, how British and what role British played in developing the legal system in India. So we will be studying that. Making of the Indian Constitution. We will see how Indian Constitution is drafted and what are the relevant provisions for an individual. Though the constitution itself is very important because it is the supreme law of the land, nonetheless, being a citizen, what are the things that you have to know? So we will focus on that. Next unit is judiciary, constitutional, civil and criminal courts and process. So in this unit we have 5 chapters. We will be talking about the constitution, roles and impartiality. What are the rules that constitution defined basically for the judiciary? We will check out here what is the structure of judiciary, starting with the Supreme Court to the lower court, that is district court. Next one is the civil court structure. As while discussing this, we will also see there are 2 types of structure, that is the criminal court structure and civil court structure. So we will discuss both here. You can see a structure and function of criminal courts in India. The last one is other courts in India. What does it mean that apart from courts, main judiciary, other courts, what does it mean is it's talking about the tribunals basically. There are many tribunals, that is basically specialized quasi-judicial body. That is not exactly judiciary, part of judiciary, rather that is quasi-judicial body that adjudicate or basically resolve the disputes of civil in nature essentially. It hasn't given the power or role to decide the criminal cases. For example, you can take the National Green Tribunal as it resolves dispute only related to environmental dispute. Okay, so we will check that under this heading. The last unit that we have, that is the family justice system. It is introduction. The first one, what is the family justice system, and we will see why we need a specialized court for family dispute and all. So we will check out that under the heading introduction, and we will understand what exactly family justice system is. The second chapter, that is talking about institutional framework. So what are the basically provisions, laws that govern such kind of problems or issues or disputes, starting with the Hindu Marriage Act, Hindu Special Marriage Act, Succession Act. So there are so many things that we need to discuss under this institutional framework. Besides, we will also study the family court system and how it is set up and made it as a separate institutional system. Third one is marriage and divorce. What are the provision of marriage and what are the essential elements of marriage, and again what are the grounds of divorce, children, the custody of children and all. Then we have the fifth chapter, that is domestic violence. We will study domestic violence. What are the types of domestic violence? What are the acts that considered as domestic violence, along with the concept of domestic violence. Lastly, we have property, succession and inheritance. Means we will be discussing all about the property law and also how it transfer from one person to other person, especially focusing on succession and inheritance. So this is all for the syllabus, and I request you again to go through all these things before starting your study. So wish you good luck.